Hello, So today we'll be working on our cantilever bridge project CAD. I'm going to show you some CAD techniques while I CAD my own. If you want to follow along with my CAD, you're more than welcome to. However, doing your own design will get you significantly higher marks within the assessment. Okay, so we're going to start with the sketch tool, everybody's favorite, and we're going to click on the top plane. So we're looking down from above. I'm going to select the rectangle tool and I'm going to click in the middle. This is very important. We start from the origin and we draw out and we can click there. Right? Doesn't matter what shape this is for now or how big, because we're going to use the dimension tool by hitting D on the keyboard. And we're going to drag out and type in 200, like so. Zoom out just so it's about scaled right. I'm going to come over here, dimension this side, and we're just going to click on that 200 rather than retyping, and that will make it a lovely square for us. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is going to hit finish sketch up in the corner. I'm going to use the extrude tool. We're going to extrude it by 19 millimeters. So we get our lovely flat base, like so. Now, it's really important that we make sure that all of our pieces are different components. See how this is component one? We can rename that just for some ease of knowledge of what's happening with the rename tool. And we're going to call it base, B-A-C-E, B-A-S-E, base. Yeah, I think it's spelled like that. B-A-S. There we go. It doesn't seem to want to rename. Doesn't matter for now. That's okay. The next thing we're going to do is going to go create new component. And we are going to make sure that it is a different component. So it's component 2.1, not component 1.1. But anyway, we're going to start by creating a new sketch on top of our first component. Okay. And we're going to start with two rectangles. So remember to hit R to create a rectangle. I'm going to draw out our two rectangles like so. Now, these rectangles have to be quite long, so we're going to start by hitting D to dimension, and we're going to draw out, and it's going to be 1200. Everyone should have this as their full length because that is the requirement for the task. And then our second one is just a derivative of the first, like so. And then we need to make our pieces of wood, the thickness of the wood that you're actually going to be using. So that is going to be 5 mil in this case. That is a derivative of that one, like so. But these lines are still blue. So what we're going to do is we're going to dimension from the origin to this one to be 50 mils, just so it's giving a bit of room, and from the edge to this one to be the same, like so. All right, and now we have this set up. This will be a really good base for all of you to do, but then what you do after this will vary. All right, so we're going to extrude these pieces up by 12 millimeters, sorry, 12 millimeters, one, two, boom, like so. So we have our two pieces. And what we're going to do now is we're going to create a pattern, okay? Rectangular pattern. We're going to take these and we're going to move them vertically like this. We're only going to only have two of them. We only need two for now. I'm going to have the gap between them to be 80 mils, like so. Okay, like that. Now, like this, we have our 4 bits of our truss structure that we're building. So the next thing I'm going to add is a new component by hitting space or clicking through the menus. And we are going to draw a new sketch. You always want to start everything with a sketch. And we're going to start this sketch sitting on this top surface of the rail. Okay. Now, we're going to use the rectangle tool by pressing R or going through the menus, like so, hitting D on the keyboard and dimensioning that to 12 millimeters. Okay. Then we're going to finish sketch. We're going to need one for now, and we're going to extrude that up. And instead of typing in a distance, what we can do is we can go into this menu here, distance, and go to object, and select the object above like so. And that'll make it the perfect gap to fit within side. And then we're going to go, okay, like that. And guess what we're going to do? We're going to create a pattern and go with a rectangular pattern for our very rectangular shape. We're going to select this piece. We're going to go axes, this axis, not that axis. No, don't like that axis. I want maybe this axis. Yep, that axis sounds great. And we're going to go out that way and out that way. Now, we only need two in this axis because there's only two there, like so. And we're going to make that 95 millimeters because that is 100 minus the 5, like so. And we're going to make this one, this axis here, 1188, as that is 1188, as that is 1.2 meters minus 12 millimeters. And I'm going to have 10 on this axis. Oh, but we've got spacing selected. Hold up, we're going to change that to extent and then retype that number on 188. There we go. Perfect. That looks really nice. I'm going to hit OK. So I have all of my bars, and you can see they've made them all a different component, which is exactly what we want. So if we come up here and hit this little dot next to it, we can see all of our pieces, and that's looking pretty jazzy to me. So the next step that we are going to do is I'm going to add some cross braces between these two side rails, just to make it a little bit stiffer in the torsion direction. So we're going to start by creating a new component by hitting space or going through the menus. And we're going to start with a sketch. So our sketch I'm going to draw will be right next to the sketch that we drew the last component on. If that makes sense. And I'm going to draw a rectangle like every other part of this project. And this rectangle is going to be 100 mils that way, and it's going to be 12 mils wide, like so. But you'll notice that these lines are still blue, as they can still move sideways. So what we're going to use is this tool here called the coincident tool. And we're going to move this piece to be touching, oh, sorry, before we do that, we're going to hit P on the keyboard and project this line here, okay? And see that's got a little purple dot, and that we can use the coincident tool to connect those 2 points together, right? Now our line's gone black, black is good. We're going to finish sketch, give it a second to load, and, sorry, extrude this by 5 millimeters. But as you can see, I missed this bit. So what we're going to do is we're just going to edit feature, select that, and then we now have that little bit there. The editing features by right-clicking is a really important skill tool to be able to adjust features later on. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is, you guessed it, a rectangular pattern. Boom. Click our piece, axis, this axis. Now we're going to have them sit on that sort of same spot on each one. So about there. And we want to have 9 of them. Maybe the last one doesn't need one. So let's just look from the side, make sure, oh, we need a little bit further. So this will be about 132, if I had to guess. Oh, wait. Yeah, that looks really nice like that. And each one of them gets its own component as well. So we've got lots of components now. And now I am going to do the same thing again. CAD is very much just repeating the same processes over and over and over again. So once you get them down pat, you can actually get pretty efficient at doing it. We're going to create a new component. Sorry. And we are going to extrude, sorry, not extrude, do a sketch just there. And we're going to draw a rectangle. I'm doing this in the opposite corner to the corner I did last time. And you'll see why in a second. And so it's going to go out like that. We're going to dimension this piece to be 100 millimeters. Dimension the distance between them to be 12 millimeters. And we're going to have to move this so that it can be touch that same corner like we did last time. So the P to project, and project that point there. Okay, get a little purple dot. Use the coincident tool, which sticks things together, and touching. Now it's all black. Black is good. Finish sketch, extrude. And we're going to extrude that down by 5 millimeters. You absolutely guessed it. And there we go. So now we have one. How do we get lots? Rectangular pattern. Boom. Okay. Select our piece. Select an axis. Send them out. The spacing we can remember from last time was 1, 3, 2. And our quantity was the same as last time, 9. Okay. So now we have this lovely setup with rails on the top, rails on the bottom, vertical rails, and all of the cross pieces. So the next final piece that we have to add, yay, we are so close, is we're going to add some diagonal bars so that we have triangles, because everybody knows triangles are the strongest shape. So to do that, click on the little dot up top, space to create a new component. Okay. Now we're going to start a sketch. I'm going to do my sketch there. I'm going to use the project tool to get geometry off some of these other pieces. I'm just going to select all of the pieces that go around the side like that. And then add 2 lines. I'm going to add a line like that and a line like that. As you can see, it's made them parallel for me. So that is good. But if they are not parallel, you can come to constraints and there's a parallel tool. And then you just click on the 2 lines. Okay. And then we're going to dimension this line and that line and the gap between them to be 12 millimeters, like so. And you can see they still move around a little bit. That's okay, because what we can do is I am going to use the coincident tool to stick that point to that point, and that point to that point. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. That looks terrible. Maybe go that point to that point. Coincident. Like so. Yeah, that looks much better. Finish sketch. Okay. We are going to extrude this piece by -5 millimeters, boom, like so. And we are going to move them all around. So how do we do that? The rectangular pattern tool, boom, like that. We're going to click this piece. We're going to go axis, maybe click there would be nice. Yeah, that looks good. We're going to have 2 go that way, and we're going to have some go that way. And we're going to need this spacing to be, sorry, this quantity to be 2 first. This spacing to be 95, I believe, from memory. Yep. And then we need to look at it this way. We need to bring this one down to 132, same as the rest. Yep. And then the quantity to be 9. Yeah, that looks really nice. Let me go okay. And we have all of that. So what we can do now is we can see that we have a fully CADed model of a cantilever. Now, unfortunately, if you click, you can move all of these pieces around and none of them actually where you think they are. So what we have to do is we're going to use a joint tool. So in the assembly, there is joint, or you can hit J on the keyboard. And we're going to click this point here, like that. And then we're going to click this point here, like that. Oh, not quite what I wanted to do. Let's just reset that point there, and that point there. And that's going to stick them together. So now, if I grab and move that, this other piece is moved with it. Okay, does that make sense? So how are we going to stop everything from moving? We are going to get this piece here. We're going to right click on it. And we're going to find it up here on the menu. When you select it, it pops up with a little blue highlight. Right click on that. And you're going to hit ground. Unground from parent. Is that what I want? Is this piece already grounded? Oh, what did I do? Whoops. Okay, this one's already grounded. So we're going to start with, yep. We're going to start by joining everything to this piece and then just move slowly along. So joint. We're going to joint that line to that line. And we're going to give it, wait, why is this not working? Joint. Joint this corner to this corner, but we want to give it an offset of 50 millimeters. So a Z offset of 50, like so. All right. And then we can get our next piece and go joint this piece to this piece. Okay, and stick them together. Now, as you go, you're gonna have to slowly stick them all together. There will be lots of joints. This process will take you a while, but it's really important for the next step. All right, so I'm going to do that off camera and come back in a second.